We're talking with track and field head coach Guy Murray after both the men's and women's teams scored victories over Oakland in the OU duel we had this week. Coach, let's look at a couple highlights we had from this week. In the women's, we had Nicole Meisner and Nikia Duncan. Just talk about some of the performances we had this week.
Yeah, Nikia and Nicole did a nice job going 1-2 in the 100-200. Nikia, they're both off to a good start. Nikia, especially last week, she ran 12.3, her PR at Eastern Illinois. So they're both picking up where they left off from great indoor seasons, and hopefully the weather will continue to stay warm and they can make the most of it.
We could stay on the women's side. We can talk about our throwers. Allison Coughlin had a pretty good showing. Talk about what she did this past week.
Yeah, Allison won 3 of the 4 throws, so that's always good to get the wins. And her hammer was a PR, and the disc is coming along, and the javelin still, I guess you'd say, in the developmental phase. But it's a good weekend, and get the smaller meet and the chance to win sometimes, spurs them to get a little more out of their performance. And Stephanie Blanchard had a nice PR with winning the shot put at 37.7. So nice to get her over the 37-foot mark, and they're both, headed for longer throws here as the spring concludes.
As we look at some of the results on the men's side, Vashawn Landrum, Charles Anthony also placed well in the 100-200. Just talk about their performances real quick.
Yep, those guys ran well. Decent times out there in the duel. That both of them are kind of set up. Hopefully the weather is as good as expected this weekend. That's a key for 100-200 sprinting, because I think these guys are both. Vashawn get under 11, and Charles was right at that mark last year. So we need both those guys, because the Horizon League sprints has made significant improvements, and you got to be on top of your game to get the points this year.
Coach, we also had a couple of meet records set at Oakland this week on the men's side. Just talk about some of those performances that we had.
Yeah, it was like, the weather was great, and that brings out the best in everyone. And we had, nice to get the meet and stadium records back in the Detroit Titans name. And Justin Pegues did a really nice job. He's been pretty steady, and he got the 1.99 m, so 6'6" and a quarter. That's his PR as well, to get the high jump record back in our name. Abram Campbell, won the hurdles and got the high hurdle record at 14.94, which is his earliest sub-15. So he's on pace to get that school record that he just missed by 1/100 of a second last year. And then Eric Lewis, he's really picked up, closed indoor very well, and picked up where he left off, because he threw our second best throw last week at Toledo, and then he improved that mark to 184 this week in the hammer, and he's going to be right in there for the NCAA preliminary round. Right now he's inside the top 48, but he's probably going to have to throw a meter or two farther to stay and represent the team at the NCAA preliminary round.
Coach, we're headed to the Bison Outdoor Classic at Bucknell this weekend. Talk about what we can look ahead to for this coming weekend's event.
Well, the Bucknell Bison Outdoor Classic's a great trip for us. We get to see our old friend Kevin Donner, who was the first women's coach here at the University of Detroit Mercy, and then Richard Alexander, who was our assistant for 3 years, and the upperclassmen all worked with him. So it's fun from that perspective, but it's a great kind of regional level meet where the competition for us is very good, and pretty high powered in some of the distance events on Saturday night. And then it's the right size meet for us, where our top performers have a chance to win. And we've had a nice tradition of pretty much every year we've gone there, we've had someone take an individual event win. And so that's always a tradition. I like to go be the westernmost team to visit Bucknell and then bring home a win, so that everybody remembers we were there.